Hey Capricorn, February is a month where you are going to be really focused on your stability and maybe even sources of income as you are creating new foundations for your life. We are then going into the second half of February where there's a lot more focus on communication and your mind and ideas. And overall, February is actually looking like a really positive month. We don't have any retrograde planets until the end of April, so things actually feel pretty straightforward. And while that's not to say that things are going to be totally idyllic all the time and you're not going to have any obstacles or problems, it feels like whatever issues arise are much more manageable, especially compared to last month, particularly at the beginning of January, where we had a pretty intense full moon in your opposite sign. We had 3 retrograde planets. We have slowly been starting to move forward throughout January, and stepping into February, the momentum is only building. If you're excited for today's reading, then definitely be sure to hit like, subscribe, and the bell notification so you can always stay up to date with what's in the cards for you. For those of you who are brand new to my channel, my name is Michael, and I incorporate tarot and tropical astrology to intuit monthly forecasts for your zodiac sign. If you're looking to dive even deeper, you can find links for personal readings and distance Reiki sessions with me in the description box down below, as well as links for the blog posts and my other social media accounts. So connecting with your energy was really interesting, Capricorn. I actually pulled a few cards while I was tuning into your energy, and I had the Hermit, Death card, and the Ten of Pentacles all come out together. And this very much felt like a journey, and I'm actually going to build off of these cards because I feel like for some time with the Hermit, you have been kind of focused inward or figuring out your own truth. Maybe you've been talking to a mentor or someone who has kind of been very reflective to you, but I overall feel like the energy of the past was very much revolving around this introspection, figuring out who you are, what it is that you want. And it's interesting because so much of the past couple of years have really been about you creating stability and that kind of struggle at times. Your ruling planet Saturn has been in your second house of Aquarius, which is very much focused on material stability as well as your values and your resources. And Saturn brings lessons, it brings restrictions, and it's actually finishing up this cycle. The cycle that began in 2020, March, beginning of the pandemic, we are bringing the cycle to a close. Okay, and you then have your ruling planet Saturn moving into Pisces, where it will be until 2026. So right now you are on the precipice of a change, and I feel like you've been in this very reflective mode, or you've been like kind of off doing your own thing, and you're now at this point where you are in this sort of energy of death, which is actually quite interesting because it's like you're realizing now what can't stay the same anymore. Like there are certain things that just have to change. They just do. And a lot of the time we think of death as an ending, but if we really just boil it down even more, death is change. And it feels like there is something that is shifting here. You now have this level of awareness or self where it's almost acutely painful not to live in accordance to that anymore. And I feel like for some of you, kind of looking at the Ten of Pentacles here, you might be challenging your earliest conditioning, beliefs from childhood, or even later in your life. Maybe beliefs society condition you to have. And it's interesting with the full moon on the 5th. We have a full moon in Leo in your 8th house of death, transformation, and rebirth. So I really do feel like this death card is signifying this full moon. And there literally could, maybe there is like literally a death actually. You know, with the full moon in your 8th house, maybe there is something about a funeral service or just some sort of anniversary of some kind that is feeling particularly pronounced or heightened. But something is changing. There's something big happening. And it feels like kind of the start of February. There's this big shift or this big change. And then you do have the Ten of Pentacles. It's like you're building your own foundation. You're starting something or realizing something that is like a home or a legacy that will provide to others. This feels very, very spiritual to me, to be honest. And at the bottom of the deck, I am noticing that we have the High Priestess here as well. So I definitely get this sort of spiritual vibe, really listening to your intuition, connecting to your intuition more. It feels like there's something that your intuition has been trying to tell you, or there's something that you have just known is coming, and February is the month to act on it. It's the month to move forward. Overall, for the collective, that is actually very true. There are a lot of opportunities to change and to progress this month. But we do have to take these opportunities. It's not just going to be handed to us. So you are going to need to take some sort of initiative towards this. But to be honest, I don't think you're going to really struggle with that with the Death card. It's like you are either at this point where it's like you just can't continue on the way things have been or the way things were. You can't go back. You have to go forward. And maybe that is a choice you're making, or maybe it's even a choice that kind of feels like it's being asked of you. Let's pull some more cards. I'm curious to see what else comes through, but these messages were very, very interesting to me, and I knew I had to share them. So definitely let me know in the comments down below. What is this precipice of change here? I feel like you've been building up towards this for the past few years, to be honest. I'm thinking since the beginning of 2020. You know, it's funny actually kind of looking at the Hermit, maybe when you were in quarantine or spending a lot of time by yourself or connecting with yourself more, something started to shift then, and you're kind of wrapping up a cycle to progress into the next. You're getting ready to step forward into a new chapter, and that is really going to happen in March, I feel. So what are the messages that we have for Capricorn? We have the King of Wands with the Two of Swords. Very, very interesting. This kind of feels like oppositional energy, because the King of Wands is this sort of champion energy, kind of stepping up, speaking out, and just doing the things that light you up. But the Two of Swords is a very guarded energy. It's a very indecisive energy. And it's like, you have this fire, but you don't know how to wield it. That is a message I'm getting. And even looking at the Hermit here, you have this light, you have this lantern. The King of Wands does also represent Leo energy, and kind of looking at this with the Two of Swords, there is going to be a decision that you are making around this time. Or you might feel like you're in a stalemate. What do we do? What's this about? Let's clarify this a little more. Let's get more specific. Wow, okay, we have the Empress and Judgment. Whoa, okay, big cards here. So the Empress pertains to stability, fertility, abundance. Pretty much anything Venus, which is the planet of love, beauty, and luxury. And then Judgment. Yeah, you're making a decision. You're making a pretty big decision. And it might not feel super comfortable with the Empress, because Venus often represents our comfort zone. And the Empress represents Venus. But it's like deciding to nurture and lead the way into a new way of being. And we have the Wheel of Fortune. Yeah, really big fated changes. Really, really big changes that are happening this month. And I think you're going to kind of continue to feel this, and especially into March when Saturn enters into Pisces, there's going to be a really big shift. And I think you're going to be a lot more active over the next few years. It kind of feels like you've been in sort of a pause. And also with Pluto moving out of your sign briefly for 3 months before it comes back in June. But then once we begin 2024, Pluto will be out of your sign once and for all. And Pluto's been there for 20 years. It's brought about a lot of change, a lot of transformation. And like when you have outer planets like Saturn and Pluto at their 29th degree, right before they are shifting into a new sign, you really feel this kind of seismic shift. I feel like there is a very big life chapter change that is happening for you, and it's like this pressure that has been very heavy on you at times is now shifting. There could be major changes to, again, finances, sources of income, your stabilities, your values. With Pluto entering into the sign of Aquarius. But Pluto, while it does bring death, it's also a very powerful energy. And Pluto in the second house actually can bring wealth. It can bring a great deal of resources. And that does not just have to be material wealth either. Although that is actually the impression I am getting for a lot of you. And it's more like, it's not even about the wealth. It's not about money. It's about what you are trying to found or build with that. And maybe there's other ways to realize or manifest these things too. But I do feel like there's something about like, you need to be able to give some sort of resource to this foundation. This all feels and sounds really abstract to me, if I'm being honest. I would love to hear in the comment section down below what this change is actually about. I do want to pull for relationships, but honestly, like, that almost feels paltry to me. It's like there is a very, very big change that is happening, and it's very much about you, Capricorn. Something is very, very life-changing this month and next month. So you have to let me know what this is about. And some of you, this is, I think, tied to your spiritual purpose. Yeah, the Eight of Cups, you are leaving something behind. There's no going back. I keep hearing that. Like, there's no going back to the way things were. And maybe that is a love message for some of you. But I actually think it's even bigger than that. Like, even if you are leaving a relationship, it's not just you're leaving that relationship or that connection, that friendship. It's like you can never go back to that pattern again. There's already been this awakening. You can't unsee what you have already seen. You tried. You tried not to acknowledge something. But I feel like you can't run from your destiny anymore. You can't run from what your soul is trying to tell you. We do have the Lovers here. Okay, interesting. So tell me more about the Lovers. It's actually funny, though, because this Lovers in particular really does reflect that self-love, this sort of mirror image. And also needing to have a solid relationship with yourself. That is very necessary in order to have genuine and heartfelt connections with others. Queen of Swords. You are taking a very objective view of your relationships, whether this is attachment styles or specific partnerships or commitments you are in or a part of. We have the Three of Cups with the Star. You know, the energy is very serious here, I'm not going to lie. And I think there's something about the full moon in your 8th house in Leo on the 5th that makes it feel like relationships get really, really serious for a minute. But I actually feel like overall there's a lot of beautiful energy with the Star and the Three of Cups. There's a lot of cozy, connected energy, maybe even a celebratory energy for some of you. Um, to be honest, the way these cards are reading to me for some reason, it's like if you're single in particular, I get this sort of energy that you're just organically arriving to this place where it's like you're not chasing after love. You are very content with yourself. You are finding connections that are meaningful to you with the Three of Cups. And it's like you can't go back to those old patterns. You have to commit to yourself. You have to do right by yourself. And I feel like some of you have been in patterns in relationships that aren't good for you anymore. For those of you who are in a partnership, I'm not necessarily getting an ending with these. I actually got the Sun. It's like the message I almost get for you, if you are connecting with someone or in a relationship with someone, it's almost like eye-opening, where it's like, why did I put up with so much shit in my old relationships? It's like I didn't realize just how good things could be. So overall, relationships actually do feel really positive, but it's like there's something that's also kind of jarring as well, and that could be some sort of conversation, that could just be some sort of realization like I'm describing. The Queen of Swords is pretty pointed. It's very objective. It's kind of looking at things in a less romantic sort of light. I think that's actually kind of interesting when we have Venus entering Aries. That's happening on the new moon on the 20th. That new moon is in Pisces, and for you, this is like a new way of understanding, new forms of communication. And this new moon in Pisces also kind of sidestepping or tangenting for just a moment or coming back to something really quickly. The new moon in Pisces, I think, is going to kind of be like the prelude to the changes that are going to be happening in March, especially when Saturn and Pluto enter into the sign of Pisces. It feels like there is something that you are feeling around the 20th that's really big shift for you, okay? And with Venus entering Aries, it's like there's this focus on domestic partnership in particular, and like it's almost like finding your family, finding that familial love that actually feels really important to me too. Maybe you are realizing that in a romantic connection, but for some of you, this could also be involving friendships with the Three of Cups, or even a sense of siblinghood. Really interesting. And the Six of Pentacles, there's just a lot of reciprocity. It's like there is support when you need it. And you support the other person when they need it, or the other party when they need it. There's this exchange. And that's very aligned with the Ten of Pentacles here as well. Anything for finances? Anything about finances? I know we sort of talked about that. Yeah, we have the Nine of Wands. I feel like some of you have been in a period that has either been... It feels like it's been all about money. And the way I could see this is like you've just been struggling to get by, or things have been tight, or you've just been really grinding and working very hard towards something. But either way, with the Nine of Wands, it's like you are near the end of this dark cycle. There is a dawn approaching. Though you have almost completely spent the candles in this candelabra, you've made it through. And you're almost there. You're almost in the light of day again. So I do feel like there has been this struggle, but there's also this resilience here. And there's kind of this hopeful message there as well. We do have the Three of Swords. It's been hard. There's been something really hard financially, or something that's been like... It's almost like you are healing, actually. Even looking at this Three of Swords, it's like stitching something back together, putting your heart back together again. And the Six of Wands. Having some sort of victory, overcoming something. I feel like you are overcoming some financial issues, or like something that has been stressful to you or burdensome to you in some way is finally resolving. But I do feel like there's still some healing. And it's like, maybe you've actually been in this healing process and you're recognizing there's been some sort of trauma revolving around scarcity that has still been cropping up in your life. I feel like scarcity is something that you are really looking at or thinking about this month, but it kind of feels like you're overcoming it at the same time, or you've overcome it. And you are working towards things, again, with the Eight of Pentacles. You are building something. You are working. And working collaboratively. Or working in a way that serves others, too. It's funny because I feel like there are things that I'm saying that are landing, but to be honest, I'm still not super clear on what all of this is about. So please let me know in the comments down below if this is like resonating for you and you're like, yeah, like let me know what this is about. This feels like kind of a peculiar reading. I'm going to finish off with an oracle card. I'm kind of feeling... I'm going to use the animal deck. What are the oracle messages for Capricorn, Sun, Moon, Rising, any Capricorn placement watching this? We have Leo, or Lion. Not Leo, but we do have a full moon in Leo. There really is this masterful energy. And like when I think of the lion, I do think of the pride. And like kind of beneath the guise or the front, I don't want to say those words because it makes it sound fake, but it's like this very strong persona that not many people actually know very well. And I feel like you're starting to open up to people on a more intimate level. But looking at this lion, I feel like meditation is really, really important. This lion kind of basking in the sun. It's very King of Wands. It is very Leo energy. You're kind of stepping into a role of leadership, or like a role of providing something to people. And even if this feels really far away, this is just a reminder that you can always grow. You can always transform, even if you've been struggling for a long time. Things can change, and things will change. Things are definitely changing for you this month, with Death as the card that was central to your reading. There are definitely some major, major changes that are taking place. And I really do think of the Strength card with the lion as well, that kind of emotional strength, that composure, that maturity that you have reached. And there's just this serene look in this lion's eyes. This is a beautiful energy. Wow. I think you're finding your people. I really do get that sense. You are finding your people, and like, not only your people, you're kind of stepping into your role. And with that, I believe those are all messages for you this month, Capricorn. I hope that this was helpful. Be sure to hit like and subscribe if it was. All of my links are in the description box if you're looking for a personal reading or a distance Reiki session. You can also view the other videos, maybe for your moon or rising sign. There might be some other messages, or maybe there's certain things that just didn't come up or make sense here. There might be something resonant in there for you as well. And I will see you all in the next video. Take care, Capricorn, and have a blessed February.